and welcome to Open Mic UK Artist Development Tutorials. Here we are again for another video. My name's Chantal Elizabeth. Welcome if you've been before or if you're new. We're going to be looking today at how to improve your vocal range. I'm going to give you tips and tricks on how to increase your vocal range. So as a singer, it's important for you to know what your vocal range is. You will need this if you're applying for jobs, but you need to understand the capabilities and the possibilities within your voice. Now, you might think you're just born with a certain range, but you can expand it like any muscle. You can work it and train it and make it better. It's really important to do regular exercises to keep this active, to keep it well fit and trained and capable of responding to your demands when you need it. So, what is your vocal range? Quite simply, it's the lowest note you can sing to the highest note you can sing. If you've got some understanding of musical theory already, you'll know that notes go from one to the other in interval called octaves. Now, the vocal range is often referred to within these octaves, and being able to sing in a 4-octave range is pretty good. Can you increase your vocal range? Yes, of course you can. There are limiting factors such as your age, whether you've had any illnesses, and even your genetic makeup, but most people can improve their range by at least an octave. To increase your vocal range, it's important to start with some basic warm-up exercises to loosen your vocal cords and the muscles around your mouth. There's lots of teachers and videos online showing different simple exercises that you can learn from. Like an instrument, your voice needs fine-tuning, it needs perfecting, it needs working on, you need to develop it, you need to understand all the small nuances around it. So let's look in more detail at what the vocal range is. Most people have a vocal range from about 3 octaves, so that would be. But some people have an incredible range, such as Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses, who can cover almost 6 full octaves, so that would be from. That is a very huge range. So within the octave, you have 12 notes, and it's really good advice to just increase your range 1 note at a time. This can be done by singing your basic scales, which is why having an instrument would be really useful for you when you're expanding your vocal range. So if you sing your lowest note, and you sing your highest note, and then you do exercises around those and just gently push up your highest note each time you do a workout. There's a great app on Playback FM that allows you to figure out your vocal range just by singing along to someone else who's going through the scales. Do, 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 do. As a solo artist, you're unlikely to need to worry about what your range is, but if you become a professional backing singer, you need to know exactly what your highest note is and exactly what your lowest note is. You need to understand whether you're a baritone, an alto, soprano, etc. Remember, there are more careers in the music industry than just being a solo artist. Often in this area, jobs are advertised as voice type, so you would be applying for a bass voice or a soprano. So being aware of your vocal range at all stages of your development is really important. Way before starting exercises to increase your vocal range, you must warm up, drink plenty of water, and stay away from tea, coffee, and alcohol. Here are some tips on how to increase your vocal range. As a young singer or someone just starting out, you may not yet have an idea of music theory or an understanding of scales. Often I've worked with people who have amazing singing voices, but you play a note on the piano and they can't pitch it. This is a great starting point. Find a note, sing it. Ah, find another. Ah. There are loads of vocal exercises that you can do, and we are just giving you some tips and tricks here to get you started. I recommend that you look online, maybe YouTube, and find a vocal coach who would start from where you're at. You may be a complete beginner, and what you want to find is someone who has some consistent videos that looks like they're going in logical order, giving you lots of tips on breathing, and not just someone who's just going to have the odd video here and there. Some of the basic vocal warm-ups can also help you increase your range, but watch out for using these too soon. Ensure that you keep a warm-up as a warm-up. Okay, you are limited by the size of your throat and your vocal cords. Your personal pitch is dictated dictated by the frequency and resonance of the vocal cords in your throat. If you want to find out more about what your voice is doing when you're singing, you can look up some vocal physiology, and this would be really interesting to you. To expand your range lower, gradually work down to your lowest pitch and take it slowly and maintain a relaxed posture. Use diaphragmatic breathing to ensure that you're getting enough breath into your body, and just gently push down each time you hit the bottom. The same with the top, just take it up a little bit more every time you go from the bottom to the top. The golden rule is not to strain yourself. As I've stressed many times already, you've got to be gentle, you've got to be prepared to put in the legwork. This is not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's also a good idea to ask someone's advice about how you actually sound. You can always ask a trusted family member or friend who you respect and has a good knowledge of music already. You can ask whether it's worth you even pushing yourself to reach those high notes, because your voice just might not sound that good. You could also just record yourself and make sure that what you're actually doing is worthwhile. How to increase your vocal range higher. So the high notes are always the ones that people are super impressed by, the vocal gymnastics that we're all wanting to play around with. These take a lot of work, and as I've said, people who have a high range and are famous for it or use it as their career take a lot of care of their health and where they go and what they do. Generally, the higher you go, the more you need to rely on your breath. You need to really understand breathing exercises for singer and do these regularly. If you're taking your voice seriously, be really kind to it, and remember, no screaming and no pushing yourself too hard. Vocalists can develop something called nodules on their vocal cords that can restrict their singing and even prevent them from having a singing career. Expanding the voice lower requires a little bit of a different discipline than expanding it higher. The process is basically the same in that you introduce new songs and scales and just lower notes to increase that range, but focus on relaxing and taking deep diaphragmatic breaths to push that voice lower and lower and lower. During these training sessions of pushing your voice lower and higher, beware of tension. Be really aware of what's happening in your body. For example, if you're trying to sing lower, don't let your tongue force itself down in the bottom of your mouth. Don't push your larynx down. Let it happen freely. Even if you just drop lower by an increment, then you can work on that. Each day will be a little bit more, a little bit more. Remember to practice in a warm room where you can be relaxed and comfortable. This is where you'll get the best results for expanding your range. So the next steps for expanding your vocal range, beyond scales and exercises that are going up and down your range, is to find songs that you love singing but you know that are outside your capabilities. You can transpose a song that you find too hard by starting it on a different note. So if there's a song that you really want to sing, then just start it a little bit lower or a little bit higher. Choosing a song outside your range just by a couple of notes is a really good target to have, and then work towards being able to hit those notes. How to increase your vocal range without falsetto. So a term you'll come across again and again is the falsetto voice. It is a very high voice that sounds quite unnatural. It's actually outside of the vocal range really, and is a different way of making your vocal cords move. If you learn the falsetto technique, you can take on a whole new style of singing and create some really interesting sounds. Take care, because this puts a lot of strain on your voice if you don't know what you're doing. No matter what stage your voice is at, whether you're really limbo or you can only sing a couple of octaves, doing some regular vocal exercises will allow you to increase your range, even if it's just by a couple of notes or a couple of octaves. There will be a point where your voice breaks as it moves from one register to the other. This is known as a passaggio, and sometimes in some people it can cause a real drop in a note at some points, and you might have to work hard to smooth past it. It's one of the reasons why it's important for you to know your voice, so that you know where the break is, so that you can work around it if you need to use that area in your songs. The tones of each register offer nuances and effects to the voice that are dramatic or can be quite unassuming. Now that you've achieved an increase in your vocal range, you're going to be able to do a lot more with your voice. Singers with dynamic voices are in hot demand. So by putting in the legwork, you potentially can set yourself off with a great career. So don't forget that, like everything, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. You have to keep yourself in tip-top condition. Drink lots of water, get lots of rest. Like an athlete, you're going to be using your body as your career. You need to treat it right. Sign up for our competition if you want to show us what you can do, and look on our artist development tutorial pages if you want more information and advice on singing and everything related to the music industry. My name's Chantal and it's been great chatting to you today. I hope to see you again. Bye for now.